Are you not entertained by our podcast? Gladiator is coming up next.
Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevening. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening. And if everything is working according to plan, this might be the first time you're actually able to watch us. We are trying a new video platform out here. Listening to the theme song, I was thinking like, oh man, once the show really gets big, we like put like a video over that iconic bass line by Ryan Davey. Yeah. And we just like have like some smoky haze of like and cartoon characters of us like falling through it. I'm picturing a little bit of like Mad Men and then like some weird 70s animation just kind of like combined together there to make a theme card. What do you think, Tommy? Do you think that would be good for the podcast?
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, that'd be incredible. That's what we need. We need just like, weird like smoky dorm room haze shit. The thing that you'd see in a dorm room when you're like smoking weed for the first time. You're like, oh my god, look at this visualizer, dude.
But welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time. And today that is Tommy. Gladiator. We got Gladiator II coming out. This is an iconic one. It's actually funny. I've been rewatching The Sopranos. And did you ever watch The Sopranos, Tommy?
I've only seen a couple episodes. So if we want to bridge into
there's
TV.
An iconic character, Ralph Cifaretto, played by none other than Joey Pantoliano. Like, great performance legend, by it. Yeah. But they're in like the third season. It's like right after Gladiator comes out, and across like 3 or 4 episodes, like he just quotes Gladiator all the time. He's just obsessed with this movie. Ray Lewis, like in the original Hard Knocks. That came out like the year after this movie came out. He's quoting Gladiator throughout the locker room and like was known throughout his career to quote Gladiator to the locker room. Like, to say this movie did not have a cultural impact is a lot. Is like a lie, because I feel like it's one of those movies that you look back on, you go Gladiator, and then like you haven't watched it in 10 years. You're like, it was Gladiator, it was cool, and then you watch it, you're like, hell yeah.
This movie rocks.
This is a movies rocks kind of movie. It's
this is a movie that like I never saw. Like, obviously I was a little too young when I was a kid. Not that stopped me from seeing R-rated movies, because I think the next year I saw Ridley Scott's Black Hawk Down. My dad took me to go see it in theaters. I think it was my first R-rated movie in theaters.
I remember that movie. I remember asking my mom to take me to go see Black Hawk Down. She's absolutely not.
Meanwhile, my dad's like, sure, fuck it. It's a military movie. You got to see this movie. Come on, Tommy. I think my dad just dragged me to movies that he wanted to go see and just like convinced my mom it was okay.
It's not that violent. I read a review. It's fine. It's fine.
But exactly. But anyways, with Gladiator, I just never got around to it. I was never a big sword and sandals guy. Another R-rated movie my dad dragged me to back in the day was Troy, the Brad Pitt movie. I think that was made by like Wolfgang Pearson, maybe. And I remember it was like 4th grade. I was telling this to our friends earlier in the week. I was just like, Wolfgang Pearson directed this, and I thought it was the most boring movie I ever saw. I was just like, I remember crying and being, Dad, can we please leave this movie? This is awful. I hate Troy. I don't want to see this movie. Like, but I was like, no, we're watching this movie. We're sticking through. And ever since then, I just hate sword and sandal stuff. But I'm glad to see that Gladiator has proven me wrong. And this movie
maybe
is awesome.
You can actually try fantasy again and not hate it. I don't know. Like, you're just like you're.
I'm still here and there. We did Lord of the Rings, our lost episode. And I like that enough. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 or something.
Our infamous lost episode that we'll probably do again at some point, because it's a good one to do. So Tommy, I have to ask you this because this was a popular question. A couple of, last year, I think it was. How often do you think about the Roman Empire, dude?
Not often at all.
Yeah, that's not the least surprising sentence I've ever heard in my life. There's a
yeah.
It's never been a thing of yours. You think about like weird horror kills, and we just guessed it on the Deep Cuts podcast, and you just think about like random actors in the back of movies. Like that's just
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm watching like a random episode of like Seinfeld. I'm like, I've seen that guy in
oh,
something like that. No way.
Seinfeld's the king of that show. You're just like, I know. Like it's so weird
Yeah,
that Bob Odenkirk, Bryan Cranston, and Anna Gunn, all from
yeah,
Breaking Bad fame, are
yeah,
all just in Seinfeld. Like at random points, it's very
yeah. Just casually.
just casual Seinfeld appearances by them. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I Gladiator's fun. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna dive into it. One thing I wanted to touch upon at the top, because we usually start off this segment with what have you seen lately? And this past week, what was the big thing that everybody saw, Tommy? It was last Friday.
Oh yeah, the Tyson
Jake Paul fight.
Paul fight.
This is
Yeah,
all I
Jake
want to
Paul
say.
fight.
I just need to get this tangent out. I've just been sitting on
Yeah.
it in my mind.
Now you have a platform.
Stop giving this guy attention. Stop. Like all of his fights are rigged. He always fights somebody that he's going to beat. Like that was a rigged. That was
Massive
a rigged.
Prime,
That was a rigged.
old
That was
as
a
hell.
rigged boxing fight. It was rigged from the get go.
Yeah, Mike Tyson did not throw a punch practically.
There was a
like,
round he
basically
didn't throw
so
a punch.
restrained.
It was very clear. Like the agreement was, Paul will win. That way he could say he beat Mike Tyson and be like, "Well, I'm a legit boxer." It's like, well, you beat him at 60. You certainly weren't beating Iron Mike Tyson. And it was like the biggest event. Netflix, stop expanding your business. Scale your business down. Stop producing terrible content. That's all you do now.
Bring back the DVDs.
And I know we've talked about streaming services over and over and over again and how it's just terrible.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's all quantity. There's no quality to it. This is another thing where it's like maybe don't put your hat in the ring. Like they're going to air 2 NFL games on Christmas Day. Like they secured the rights for that.
Oh, that's gonna be such a shit
It's going to be
show.
a disaster. Nobody's going to be able to watch a game. I'm becoming a cable guy again. Like streaming makes me want to become a cable guy again. You know, I'm
well, I know what you mean though, because like I yearn for the cable where like I started using like Pluto TV and have these different channels where like I'll tune in and be like, oh, it's the comedy movie channel. They're playing Dirty Work right now. Fuck yeah, I'll watch that. I miss that experience of just like jumping into a movie like midway through that I've seen a million times and be like, oh yeah, I'll watch this scene real quick. It's like the premise of that podcast, Rewatchables, where it's just like there's some movies that are just amazing for that where you jump in. Like when we covered Heat. Heat is the epitome of that. The epitome.
But Gladiator is up there as well, in terms of a rewatchable movie. But Tommy, are there any movies that you've seen recently that you'd like to discuss?
All right, so I'll just cover a movie that I watched right before we started recording our long podcast night. Near Dark. Have you ever heard of Near Dark?
I saw you posted on Twitter about it.
Yeah. So let me give you the pitch for Near Dark, and I think you'll be like, okay, I need to see this. All right. So first of all, it's a neo-Western horror movie about vampires, which you're like, okay, whatever. But it's directed by Catherine Bigelow. And it stars all James Cameron's repertory players.
Is this when they were still married?
I think this is like beginning of their performance of their relationship or anything like that. But it was like her first movie. James Cameron gave her like Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton, Jeanette Goldstein, who played Vasquez, and they're all vampires in a neo-Western environment and like modern day vampires are all like biker gang stuff like that. They go from town to town, like bar to bar, just killing people. It's fucking awesome. It's just like pure 80s. And Catherine Bigelow, I've been on such a heater of her. We're gonna be covering Point Break soon, and I can't wait to go on a deep dive of her because she just knows how to direct the fuck out of a movie, and she just makes this like a bar scene of just vampires attacking, which could be routine and dull. Is so compelling and so tense.
And you said this is a movie that's not on streaming. It hasn't had a physical re-release in a very long time, right? Like there's just like 1 or 2 copies of the movie, right?
Yeah. This is a movie that like, thank God, like I have a video store near me that I was able to rent a DVD copy. But I looked on like Amazon today, and I was like curious, like, oh, how much is like a Blu-ray of like Near Dark going for? And Amazon said $327. I was like, I am good. I don't need a Blu-ray that badly.
How much is the DVD?
Movie.
How much is the DVD?
Yeah, DVD was like $50. I was like, and then I did my little thing where I was like, I'm gonna find this movie eventually. So it's my new white whale. I'm collecting DVDs and 4Ks and like Blu-rays and all that shit. Where like I'm gonna be
you're gonna start being that guy videotaping on our Twitter page. You at like yard sales, being like, okay, guys. I'm here this week
Get
at a
your
new
dark
yard
ears.
sale. Let's see what DVDs they have. Wow, it's a whole lot of
I was
Disney here. Yeah, these only sell for $2 to
I
three
was
dollars on resale. That's all they really sell for there. They just sell for $2 to $3.
yeah.
Whoa, wow, look at this! Wow, look at this! You would think
They have this
amongst all
movie.
these Blu-ray
Who would have thought of that?
there's just some Spielbergs in here. Nothing really for a cinephile, But if you're looking to get started in the collecting industry, this is a great place to build up your collection. You can usually negotiate and haggle. Why don't you go for it, And that.
I was literally in a Goodwill earlier today, like like 2 hours before we
Dude,
started
you're gonna
recording.
have to if you
I was
want to
just
get
looking at the
if
DVD
you want to
set.
get that if you want to get that Blu-ray at a low price, you're gonna have to go to yard sales, dude. You're not gonna get that thing.
Yeah, literally. No, I know. I bought in like movies before, like 28 Days Later. That's like out of print. That like I'd be able to find at like a random like used video game store near me for like $10. And I was like, all right, I'll take that because that's normally that's out of
with
print.
like these Goodwills and stuff though is that they're so caught up with the price marking on all this stuff that if anything good
Yeah.
comes in, they'll probably run like a scan on the barcode, run it against those those price charting sites, and then boom, you're out of luck. Because this guy who walked into, he's there at 7:30 in the morning. He's there recording. Um, at yard sales, he's.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to do that voice. I don't know where I pulled that. I
Estate
do not know
sales.
where I pulled that voice from. That just came from the heavens. I'm gonna have to like listen back to like hear it again. But
Yeah.
yeah, that. So you would recommend this movie, especially for $300 on Blu-ray?
Yeah, maybe don't spend that much, but if you have any chance to see it, it occasionally pops up on streaming. It was on like Amazon 2 months ago. It's crazy how many movies that like we think of streaming that like we would have never ending like access to all these movies from years and years ago. Like Near Dark is one, which granted is like an obscure title for some people, but like big movies like 28 Days Later you can't find on streaming anywhere. And it's just like
Is that really not on
why
streaming?
aren't we having that? Yeah, no, not at all. And it's a movie you'd think would be immediately because I wanted to cover for a while.
Danny Boyle and Cillian Murphy. Like that's like very much something you could do. But didn't
classic.
you think like isn't Dogma a tough one to get to because Kevin Smith won't partner with won't give the Weinsteins any money?
Well, apparently that's changing though soon. He said that he's going to start releasing it on like DVD because he's able to get it away from
the Miramax branding.
What's it called? The Weinstein. The Miramax. But like there's Hitchcock movies out there like Rebecca and like all these other movies that like the Heartbreak Kid like from the 70s, the John Waters movie Pink Flamingos, Cocoon, which that shocks me looking at this.
Wait, Pink Flamingos? Because like Pink Flamingos is like it's a movie I would love to cover on here because it would be very different from anything we've ever covered before.
Yeah. I mean, John Waters rocks, but like then there's a movie like Cocoon, which really shocks me because I would have figured that movie is all over streaming. And it's just like a weird film preservation thing where like eventually we're going to see things like slip away into public consciousness over and over again, just fall into obscurity just because the rights are so weird. And it's a shame, like you can't see a Brave Little Toaster on streaming. You figure that'd be a Disney Plus. Like,
listen, if you're ever really struggling with this, just know the high seas are always available to you on the internet. That is something you can do. Yeah. It's not, we're not advocating for anything, but if you don't want to pay $300 and you don't have a video rental store right next to you because God knows that doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, I'm very lucky in that aspect.
The high seas of the internet are always available, and if you're savvy enough, you can find it. I'm not an advocacy for piracy. I believe the artists who work on it deserve their money for it, but if you're putting consumers in a position where they can't even access the film anymore without shelling out hundreds of dollars for it, like you kind of tie people's arms behind their back a little bit for some of those deeper cut projects. My movie is a much more accessible movie. I watched Woman of the Hour on Netflix. Do you know about this movie, Tommy?
The Anna Kendrick
it's Anna Kendrick's directorial debut. She is a struggling actress who gets put on the dating game. Like this is all based on a true story, and she matches with a serial killer, and we see flashbacks to him killing people and like how he brutally assaulted women, and just like the weird vibes. Like It was fine. It's one of those.
It was okay.
It's one of those. It's a directorial debut. Like it definitely tells the movie, right? Like it's done well. It's done correctly. It's 90 minutes in and out. Which respect, Anna. Thank you very much for not.
Mm. Yeah, that's good.
That's a
That's
good.
good.
That's a
I
good
mean,
lesson right off the
I've
bat.
I've been wanting to see it because I've seen like the YouTube clip before of like the guy on the actual game show. Like that actually
Yeah,
happened, where like they had a serial killer, and you just see the uncomfortableness. I mean, it's crazy to think about like a show like that happening now. Well, granted, we have like Love Is Blind and shit. There's still dating shows out there, but the match
but
game,
like on
especially like
network
the fact like
television, just like for your entertainment. And it's I do like some of my favorite parts of it were like the background of it and like of the show and how much of like none of this was like real. Like they could, if they really wanted to, get together and go on a trip together on the show's dime, but they got a drink afterwards and
mm,
she got the vibe that he was not cool. And like
yeah,
there's three bachelors on the show, right? Bachelor number one, bachelor
mm.
number two, and bachelor number two is like your typical bro of like douchebag, and like the
Oh, I'd hammer you away at
yeah,
this.
but like him and bachelor number three, the serial killer, they're talking, and then he literally shows him a picture of someone he killed. He's just like, just joking.
Mm,
And when they lose, like they all walk out, and you just see Bachelor number two walk up to her, like shake her hand, lean in, and just go, "Watch out for this guy," which is like one of those where you're just like, "Oh shit." So
yeah,
I think the narrative problem of it is that it's like it's so focused on the killer that Anna Kendrick's character just didn't get fleshed out enough. She's just kind of like struggling
mm,
actress, and it's really his show. And I think a lot of times in serial killer movies, it's sometimes best to leave it unsaid, or like in the
to like your
background and focus
protagonist.
on your
Yeah,
protagonist more. But it's such like a weird scenario and like a weird real life like anomaly of something that happened. And then there's also a side plot of like
mm,
a guest in the studio saw it and nobody's taking her seriously, but it also kind of just doesn't go anywhere. And it's like one of these things where it's like it was a little messy, but pretty good directorial debut, and I think it was on the Netflix top 10 for a little while there. Solid watch if you're into that kind of
mm.
movies. It's a little easy going, but with a little. If you're into the murder mystery stuff, that this will do it for
Yeah.
you.
It's all the true crime stuff that like hits.
Yeah. So opposite of true crime is the movie we are covering today, which is Gladiator.
They took everything he loved.
Promise me that you will look after my family.
Your family will meet you in the afterlife.
Destroyed everything he was.
I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
Now,
every day he lives, they grow bolder.
he will return,
Today I saw a slave become more powerful than the Emperor of Rome.
and a hero will rise. Russell Crowe. Gladiator. Rated R.
So that was our first time we were able to actually show you a trailer. You can always listen to them, but you don't ever actually get to see our trailers. Hopefully it translates well. It might have to be something where going forward I start downloading the trailer and uploading it just to get more consistent quality with it. But hey, it's our first video podcast, so what do you know? Gladiator, Ridley Scott's epic. Tommy, you are currently muted right now. I know you were just talking into your microphone. I'm just letting you know that.
Thank you, thank you.
Starring Russell Crowe. This is an epic movie. It's a big boy movie. Tommy, what were your initial
Yeah.
thoughts of Gladiator just going into it?
I mean, going in, I was kind of I was excited, but at the same time, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be watching like a long movie. You know, sometimes it's like a little bit of a commitment where it's like, oh boy, like we've covered epics before that. Don't get me wrong, are great, but I'm like, I have to block off a whole Sunday for this. So thankfully, in this case, I blocked off a whole Tuesday night for this. I watched the theatrical cut. I don't know if you watched the extended version.
I watched
like
the
20 minutes
theatrical.
longer. So, but the theatrical cut, I think, yeah, theatrical cut, I felt like just paced extremely well. I never felt its length. I mean, Ridley Scott was able to bring me in. The Hans Zimmer score just really swelled, and just incredible cinematography. The action was amazing. I think this is definitely Ridley Scott's opus between like that and like Alien. So, it's
Well, this is so different
just
from
amazing.
Alien.
I'm glad.
This is so different from Alien, and I feel like Alien is like Ridley Scott's best film. I think most people would agree with that. It's like a perfect horror film. I kind of it's such an like that and Blade Runner and like early Scott is so different from like Gladiator, which just feels more like Ridley Scott in the 21st century and onwards. Like all of his movies kind of feel this way, you know. Like you mentioned, like the following film he released was Black Hawk Down. Like last year he did Napoleon. This year he's doing Napoleon 2. Like it was always these. Like he had The Last Duel a couple of years ago. He always does these bigger kind of like medieval historical kind of films or like war films, something like that. Like more gritty, but even from like a directorial style. I think with the verge of advent of CG, I feel like his direction changed. Like he was always his background was in music videos and in advertising, then got into features. And it's interesting when I think of Blade Runner and Alien because they're shot so much differently. Maybe it was the time, but I feel like this is much more of a trademark Ridley Scott if you're going to look at the full encompassing of his entire filmography and how they're shot and the story and how they're paced. Like this feels a lot closer to Napoleon in structure than it does to Alien or Blade Runner.
Well, also this came at like a very important time for Ridley Scott in general, where like he came out of the like '90s. His '90s had a great hit in the beginning, Thelma and Louise, like movie we still talk about today, and it's definitely like iconic in that aspect. And then followed by 3 movies that 2 of these I don't think you ever heard of. 1492 Conquest of Paradise, which is okay, made a couple money. Then White Squall, which bombed. And then this movie that's more known as a punchline to Chris Rock before Chris Rock got slapped in the face, G.I. Jane.
I do know G.I. Jane.
So, which is just at this. Yeah. And G.I. Jane, I feel like is mostly known for like, I don't know, Norm Macdonald jokes at the time than anything related to the actual movie. It was a punchline movie. So this movie came at a perfect time for Ridley Scott, where like he immediately just like jumped into A-list status in terms of directors, in a way that he wasn't really on any aspect. Because you think at this time, Blade Runner wasn't a hit. I feel like a lot of his movies weren't great hits. And
no, they definitely weren't.
This movie, I mean, just as much as yeah. So, at the end of the day, though, it's just like Ridley Scott just went all out and brought a lot of choices. I think the casting of Russell Crowe also was amazing too, because he was, I guess, like right on the precipice of breakout. He had L.A. Confidential the year before, a couple years before.
Well, that's how he got this role.
Insider.
That's how he got this role. It was based off of his performance in L.A. Confidential as a breakout performance.
Yeah, I mean, he was mostly like a character actor. In the 90s, he was a character actor using like The Quick and the Dead, Virtuosity. I mean, he was definitely like in movies, but he wasn't anyone that you'd think like, oh, that's Russell Crowe. Everyone knows who his name is. It wasn't until I feel like he had LA Confidential, which was more of an ensemble, and then you go into Insider, made a decent amount of money, him opposite Mel Gibson, and then Gladiator. It's like, okay, here's your next A-list star. And he kept that for at least like a good 10-year run.
So other actors considered for this role were Antonio Banderas, Mel Gibson, and Tom Cruise.
I could see Mel.
I could see Mel. I could see Antonio Banderas. It would be different, but it could work, especially because he's called the Spaniard in this movie. And I'm like, Russell Crowe's Australian. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, he doesn't look anything like that.
Not Spanish at all. Tom Cruise at like 5 foot is like tough.
Yeah, I mean, I know he did that movie Legend with him, but we were just talking about that on the podcast we just recorded with the Deep Cuts guys, where that movie's just cheesy bullshit.
Yeah,
and I couldn't see Tom Cruise working in this environment in Gladiator. I mean, how do you bulk up in that aspect?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Bulking up on that second act, I can't picture Tom Cruise in this at all. And I love Tom Cruise. I love him in action movies, but This movie is interestingly paced. It starts off with Maximus. They're in Germania. This is all stuff that happened. What this movie does really well for me, as somebody who's enjoys history, especially on ancient Rome, is how it blends the truth and reality together. Because most of this is just fiction, but like Marcus Aurelius was in conquesting Germania, which is Germany today. That's how far the Roman Empire expanded out to. And then that's where our story starts, like the final battle there, which is just what a way to kick off your movie, by the way. Just a giant battle scene, like
awesome. Totally hit.
Totally a really engrossing like battle scene to get you in there to understand. Like, I think the big thing that we're able to see and that's conveyed is the respect that Maximus has by his troops have for him, that his soldiers have for him, that he is somebody who's respected. And we keep seeing Richard Lewis, and this is one of his final roles. He was the one played Dumbledore in the first two Harry Potter films, playing Marcus Aurelius here, kind of looking onwards from afar as Maximus leads this great charge. And then we get to sort of start the movie with just like the politics of Rome, which is that's all true. Like the Senate, emperors, like it was all just backstabbing nonsense there. And then we meet Commodus, played by Joaquin Phoenix. What did you think of him? This is one of his earlier big roles.
I think this is like definitely a breakout role for him because I mean, I don't think he had like the really heat before this. I mean, right after this, he has like The Village and like Signs and all these like M. Night movies. And
then he has Walk the Line, right?
He was
Johnny Cash.
Yeah, and he was such an amazing little shit in this movie. Like incredible. Like talk about one of the most punchable characters in a movie you've ever seen. And like the fact that he tries to troll Russell Crowe at one point, being like, "Yeah, like fuck your son and wife. I made sure that they all got like fucked up, and your wife got raped." And it's like, all right, dude, like you're asking for it now at this point.
Yeah, well, that's right at the end when they fight, when they battle. Him troll. Oh no, wait, that was in the middle. That was like afterwards. Yeah. But Commodus, Marcus Aurelius decides that he wants Maximus to take over Rome and give it back to the people and to the Senate. That he's dying. He says there's no historical evidence that that's what Marcus Aurelius wanted, was to get away from that. Like that's not historically proven. Commodus did not kill his father, which was, I mean, a great scene in the movie where, Marcus Aurelius tells Commodus that, hey, you're not going to succeed me. It's going to be Maximus. And he just breaking down, crying. And then it just starts going on a little bit longer. And you go, oh no, this is going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
And kills him there. And then everything is flipped on Maximus's head when he does not kiss the hand. And he's sent out to die in the woods.
It reminds me so much of what's his name in Game of Thrones, like the
Joffrey
kid. Joffrey, yeah. It reminds me of like aspects of that, of just like a guy who like wanted power but like clearly never deserved it, and just like is very entitled little shit. To a point where I mean, it's amazing. I wish that Joaquin is played a bunch of like douchebags. I wish he played just that over and over and over again, just like more little shits.
Well, that's what's impressive about Joaquin's career, is I feel like he has such a diverse filmography in terms of different character parts. And like a movie like this at the height of Gladiator, it's very easy for him to get locked into that typecast and kind of, as you said, just get stuck in that role over and over again. But Joaquin was able to really escape that and has kind of become like a face of like one of the premier A-list actors that we have here. Like people go to see movies because he's in them. Well, not Joker 2, but that one was.
That's not him, but I mean the fact that he was able to like get Joker 1 to $1 billion, obviously not all him, but still. I mean,
but it was all like that movie's rap was all about his performance.
Exactly. Yeah, people are like, you guys see this Joaquin performance; it's incredible. So, but just great. I mean, like probably all time character for like people you want to punch in the face the most. I mean, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's up there. He's a Joffrey Baratheon kind of character. He's very snide. He's very corrupt. His idea and his vision of Rome is the only right way that he can go, and his complex relationship with Lucilia, who Maximus also has a complicated relationship with as well. So there's a scene early on where Maximus and Lucilia, this is the first time we see them together, and they're talking about their children. Do you think it's implied that her son, Lucius, is Maximus's son? Do you think that implication is there? Because we see Lucius throughout the movie.
Yeah, I think that's 100% what that is. I think that, like, I think they even touched upon that in the sequel. That's like your dad. I mean, that's who Paul Mescal plays. I think in the sequel.
Oh, is he going to play Lucius?
Yeah. He's played like Lucius in this, and Connie Nielsen comes back, and the main senator dude comes back.
Oh, what?
Derek Jacobi.
Yeah, Derek Jacobi is Gracchus.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So Paul Mescal plays Lucius, and they even say like in the description on the Wikipedia. I mean, this isn't a spoiler really, but it's like he's the son of Maximus, and it's just like, oh, of course, that's the legacy sequel way. How you do a sequel to a movie where you kill off your main character?
So
it's a son now.
So it's being confirmed in this. It's being confirmed in the sequel that was the relationship, because it's very clear that they had a relationship of some kind. And we don't have the full backstory, but Maximus is basically raised by Marcus Aurelius amongst his children, and it's clear that Lucilia and Maximus had a relationship. Something happened, and then he had his own wife and kids, and that's all he's motivated about. He wants to get back to his farm and take care of his kids. How brutal is the scene where they wipe out the farm?
Oh god, they're awful! Like the kid gets trampled by some like horses.
I was watching that with my girlfriend. I was watching with my girlfriend, and she was like, "What are we watching?" I was like, "All right, I'll finish this by myself." Okay, got it. I forgot.
All right, I guess I will not be watching Gladiator with you.
It's like I forgot all of this. She was already checked out after the first 20-minute battle scene. But yeah, it's such a brutal.
So apparently, your girlfriend does not think about the Roman Empire a lot.
The way it's depicted there. I think you're cutting out there, Tommy. Hello.
Yeah,
it's such a brutal battle scene, or savaging, and then it's even carried more by Maximus getting home and just like that emotion bellowing over him, and like him crying at his wife's feet, the charred feet of his wife, where he's just lying there, his body's cut, he's injured, and he gets picked up by slavers. They saw the smoke and they stopped and saw what was there, and they take him into custody. And that's where our story begins. He gets into the gladiator pit. That's where the movie really kicks off.
Yeah.
What did you think of?
And we have Oliver Reed.
Of all the fights, we are. Hello.
Yep, I'm there.
What did you think of all the different fighting scenes that we had there? Because we get 3 or 4 like crazy gladiator fights. Which one do you think was your favorite or the best one that you could think of?
I definitely think that my favorite was the one with the tigers in it, because just like raised the stakes a little bit. And it always made me think of that joke from This Is the End, where it's like, oh, we were watching the Gladiator and the tigers popped down and you shit your pants or something like that, dude. But just amazing stacking of like the tension right there, where it's just like, wait, there's 1 tiger. There's 2 tigers. Holy shit, there's 3.
And
you're not going to tell me there's 4 tigers in this movie.
And then the floor opening and the tigers coming out at each step. It's crazy tension. But I think my favorite is that first scene in Rome. I mean, obviously we have I feel like this is the time where we just start talking about how this is an all-time heater for quotable lines.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I mean, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? It's just like an all-time line, and it's very interesting hearing this. So, do you know the history of the script of this movie?
I think the research happened like in the 70s. That's the beginning of it, right?
So it was the initial script was written by David Franzoni. He was traveling across Europe and the Middle East, and he kept seeing these arenas. And he took it off of a novel called Those About to Die. Gave him this idea for Gladiator. He wrote it for Spielberg initially, but then it went to Ridley Scott. And basically, on the set, the script was just a giant muddle of work. Like Russell Crowe improvised so many lines. Like when they went into initial production, they only had like 35 pages of film like locked down, right? So a lot of the stuff in this movie tended to be improvised here. Like Commodus's line, "Am I not merciful?" was ad-libbed by Phoenix. Crowe invented the phrase "strength and honored." It was actually a modified version of the motto of his high school, "Vertaliae Virtue," which is truth and virtue in Latin. And Crowe improvised the scene where Maximus describes his home to Marcus Aurelius, and instead of describing some fictional place, he just described Australia to him. So there was a lot of screenwriters that kept coming to the set to kind of like work on this project, and it was like the balance of like, is this too corny? Is it not? And like, I feel like this movie is corny, but in like the best way possible, because like the corniness only
it doesn't derail it doesn't derail like the tension or
and
the stakes of the movie.
Because the corniness only comes at like the heightened moments. It's like after a kill or at the big reveal where he finally reveals his who he is to Commodus.
Yeah, to Joaquin.
To Commodus, and he goes, "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the Arades of the North, general of the Felix legions, and loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or next."
Yeah,
and like that is a corny line, but Crowe,
it's like Princess Bride.
Crowe just crushes it, like.
He knocks out the park.
It's very clear to me that he read Marcus Aurelius' writings before this, because he just embodies stoicism in this. Like, I wouldn't say this is like a ranged performance by Russell Crowe, but I would say it's an incredibly strong performance, which is what this movie needs, right? Like, it needs that like anchor of a strength.
It needs that ironing. Yeah, I mean, so this is a movie that like obviously like won a fuck ton of Academy Awards right here. And Russell Crowe himself won the best actor. And he said at the time he like didn't really feel like he deserved it, because he felt like it was more of like a director's movie, and the Oscar really should have gone to Ridley Scott for best director instead of him for best actor, which Ridley Scott did win best director, which was insane. Steven Soderbergh won for Traffic, which I haven't seen, but I mean I can't imagine that.
I've heard it. I've heard that decision does not age as well.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just want to break down though who Russell Crowe won the Best Actor against that year. This is in 2000. So obviously we have Russell, we have Javier Bardem, and Before Night Falls. Can't say I've heard of that movie. Tom Hanks in Castaway, which was a tour de force performance by Hanks. Ed Harris in Pollock, and Jeffrey Rush in a movie called Quills. So the only movie I really heard of was Castaway, to be honest, but the fact that he beat Tom Hanks, who irons a movie by himself, like carries a movie all on the shoulders of himself, where he's performing off a fucking volleyball, and you believe it, and you're like, this is an amazing movie.
Well, Hanks is cursed by, he won, was it back-to-back? Definitely back-to-back. Did he win back-to-back-to-back Oscars? Like, he won Gump and Philadelphia. And the Academy's kind of been like, all right, you got your two. Like we know how good you are.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. He didn't get the Meryl Streep treatment for whatever reason. He does not continually just receive Academy Awards. he must not be playing the political game well enough. Um, winning these awards is a bit of a campaign if you really want to get them. I can see why you go, all right, maybe it's not his to win, but I think it's such an excellent performance, and we will dive into it more. I feel like this movie is filled with like great performances. It's all very stoic, and I feel like it allows you to envision what you want to picture ancient Rome to be. Right? Like this movie is very much an escape. It's a male fantasy movie for sure. Um,
oh yeah.
So Maximus's character is kind of based on on a couple of different people. He's based off Spartacus, who famously led the slave revolt in ancient Rome. He's named based off of Marcus Nonius Macrinius, who is a friend and general of Marcus Aurelius. He's also based off of a character of a real person named Narcissus, who fought in Colosseums. And Commodus does not die in the Roman Coliseum, but like many, many Roman emperors before him and after him, he was stabbed in his palace by Narcissus. So all
yeah, it feels like a common thing.
It's very common amongst Roman history, but all three of those are kind of blended together to make Maximus, to make this kind of character. And I think it makes a very unique and interesting performance here, because I feel like now we don't really get the stoic man in movies anymore. That kind of just like closed off, like, yeah, he has his problems, but so what? Just rub some dirt on it, kid kind of character. Like, it's kind of one of those like last performances before we kind of shifted more, especially in like these action movies. Do you feel that way? Because that's kind of like what I felt from that performance.
I mean, you're putting me on the spot of like, it made me think of like ones on the top of my head, but I feel like it definitely hasn't gone just away. Obviously we had Clint, who's like the master of that. I just watched Dirty Harry recently, and that movie.
Well, that's before rocks. That. I'm saying but, in like the 21st century, like the stoic man.
Yeah.
That was a big part of the 20th century in film is not as prevalent as it once was.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of like more recent ones in the past few years. I mean, would you consider John Wick to be one? I mean, that right there.
Yeah, I guess.
I'd say it's pretty stoic. And then Tom Hardy as, what's his name? Mad Max, definitely. Also, I mean, Liam Neeson, maybe he's not stoic, but he's a little gruff or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're like, stoicism is like an idea and a concept of like how to compose yourself and how to live your life by. So stoicism just means like not showing emotion. I feel like that's the weird thing about this performance, because it's a great performance by Russell Crowe, but it's in how reserved he is in displaying emotions. And I kind of understand how he's saying like, I didn't really feel like I deserved that Oscar, because he didn't really have to show any range in it. It is very one note. But me knowing the history of it, if Marcus Aurelius is his mentor as a father figure, he's going to be raised in the idea of stoicism. I can just tell by Tommy's body language right now, I am boring him to tears.
No. I literally like end up pulling up like a Reddit thread right here where like people are giving examples. I mean, like I feel like Liam Neeson in general has been like the guy who's picked up the mantle from Russell Crowe in this. Where like I feel like it's gotten more to villains being stoic. Like Batman Begins, Ra's al Ghul, Liam Neeson's performance right there is just like the epitome of stoicism right here. But Gladiator, I mean, it's one of those things where like this guy should be just like crying his eyes out over and over again about what happened. Instead, he just picks up. He's just like, I'm just gonna get my revenge. I'm just focused on one fucking thing. That's all it is.
So the other character I wanted to discuss here is Proximo, who's very interesting, played by Oliver Reed, who died before this movie even came out.
On the verge of a heart attack during the whole movie.
Apparently lived a very rough and gruff life there. He was kind of...
You can feel it on the screen.
This is my big complaint with this. Like, there's a lot of cool... Like, Juba is an awesome side character. Hagen, played by Ralph Mulder. Like, there's a lot of cool, like, side characters that are his friends, but we get, like, no characterization from them. And that was just something that kind of, like, bugged me out on this.
At the same time, though, like, I love, like, that one guy, who the fuck's this guy? Like the German warrior guy,
Hagen.
like the big like fucking gruff. Hagen, who at the end just gets like unceremoniously killed off. And I remember screaming out. I was like, "No, not him!" And all he did in the whole movie was like, "Hey, Russell Crowe, you're cool."
This dude's just a bodybuilder. Like, I feel like that's another staple of like later Ridley Scott is like having these awesome guys in there, and then like they just either unceremoniously die, or we just get no character for them. Just felt like a little bit of missed opportunity to give them a little bit more characterization, because they're awesome guys and they're like Russell Crowe's boys, but we just kind of see them bond off of there. And I feel like the other issue I would have with this movie is like the pacing of everything. Is like, I just feel like his rise into Maximus just felt very, very quick to win the hearts of the Roman people, you know, as the Spaniards.
I didn't have a problem with the pacing at all. I mean, in terms of like, you know, it being too quick. I
thought pacing isn't the right word, but it just felt like I missed a step there where like the guys didn't like him at first, and then all of a sudden they just like loved him, and just like I missed.
I think in that situation, that guy saves your life like twice, and you're like, all right, like I guess
that's fair. That's a fair point. I didn't think of it that way. But Proximo, who is the old gruff gladiator that's now like basically selling gladiators into rings, he's just a slaver now. What did you think of his character? Because he just kind of felt like a second mentor, but didn't do any mentoring in this movie.
Yeah, he basically just like walked around. I mean, it was crazy because I thought at first that Richard Harris was Oliver Reed in this. I was like, oh, cool. Like, I guess this is who Oliver Reed is. Great. I didn't do any Googling before, and I put my phone away during the whole time. Tim, you'll be proud of me. I locked my phone away. Did not turn it on until I was done.
I'm very proud.
Yeah, phone face no more. Anyways, but Oliver Reed, like, at first I was a little confused, and I was like, oh shit, this is who he is? He's basically just like felt like just a drunk character. Just like, yeah. I touched Shoulders of Greatness once. Like, yeah, whatever. Go in there. He wasn't really like an awesome mentor.
No, he wasn't like a mentor, and like his only significance to the plot is like Marcus Aurelius freed him, and he had like a wooden sword to commemorate it from the pits. And then when it's like, I don't want to sell you out, when they're gonna, you know, Lucilia and Gracchus are gonna conspire against Commodus, they need him to be able to basically buy Maximus out of slavery. And like, he was like, nah, kid, you're too valuable. Like, I know you got convincing friends, but I can't let you go. And he's like, yeah, the man I'm going to take over is the man he was killed by the man who freed you. And then like all of a sudden just like snap, which is just felt a little out of character. I just felt like his character being like this kind of very prevalent character in the movie, he just didn't do anything in the movie.
He was just
basically. The movie is kind of just it's kind of like fights and vibes, you know. Like that's like the best way I can describe this movie. It's just fights and vibes.
It's a very like straightforward story, like straightforward revenge story, but in a way that just hits. I mean, like I didn't really feel like I was worried this is gonna be like a bogged down like one of those like epic movies that I've watched before, where it's like Troy, for example, where it's just like, oh my god, this is just so boring. Can we move on? Instead, like I feel like they hit like the right mix of like the historical stuff and like, you know, the action itself, or it's just like it hit me in a way that wasn't just being like, oh god, can we just get this over with? Really, Scott, can you trim 20 minutes out of this movie? Did not feel that at all.
No, I'd actually be interested in watching the extended cut of Gladiator to kind of see what they add on to it. Because I feel like we definitely like, I feel like there's definitely other character stuff that's probably taken out from that extended cut just to like, because like, as I was saying before, the pacing wasn't the right word. It just felt like missing little pieces of the story, but that was probably just to benefit the pace of the movie itself.
I wouldn't be shocked if it was like a lot of like more like him and his like gladiator buddies, like more for Hagen.
Yeah.
The Hagen
I'd be cut. Cool. Give me the Hagen cut. Give me the Hagen cut of Gladiator for
sure. Yeah.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
All right, Tommy, who is the star of Gladiator? Who stole the show? Who gives the best performance in Gladiator?
I mean, really, there's a twofer. I mean, the obvious answer is Russell Crowe, but really, I think it's a twofer between him and Joaquin
Yeah.
right here. Joaquin was also nominated for an Academy Award. He did not win. Let me pull up who he lost to that year. He lost to Benicio del Toro in Traffic. Again, Traffic coming up again. So, take some, you win some. But anyways, I feel like the rivalry between them was just so great. And I love that, like, Joaquin himself was just like throughout the movie, like he could have easily just killed Russell Crowe. And he's like, I don't need to make him a martyr. Like, I don't need to do this. And it left to the final point when in that final scene when they finally face off, you are just so ready and so amped for them to go in. Where it's just like, let's go, Russell Crowe. Fuck this guy's shit up so much.
And he doesn't injured too. Like that
excellent.
Scene where Joaquin, has him tied up after the great escape sequence. And he just takes that little pencil and stabs him in the back before the fight and be like, put the armor up, cover it up. Because he just thinks that's the way he's going to win, but doesn't understand the will and motivation that someone like Maximus actually has against him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember, like, I knew that Russell Crowe died at the end of this movie. As one of those things I just couldn't avoid cultural osmosis, but I didn't know that one part where I was like, myself, I was like, oh, Joaquin's just like really fucking little shitty. I love just in the end of the movie of like how every single guard had a chance to save him.
Yeah, and they're like the head guard was like sheath your weapons. They recognized what was going on, and in very Roman politics, if you've lost the power visually, even though you still hold the title, you've lost the power and it's done. And that's true of life. You lose the power visually, you lose the power altogether. I think Phoenix does give the better performance, but I think Crow is just such an iconic performance as Maximus. Like it's such like early 2000s movies is just Russell Crowe and Gladiator. It's just one of those like roles and visuals that I think just holds up throughout time. And I don't know, I just love him in this. I love him in that role. So it's really a two-coin race. I think I'm going to lean Phoenix in terms of best performance, but I think this is Crow's movie through and through.
Crow was shot up to the A-list just because of this movie. I mean, you could say the same thing about Joaquin, but it took him a little bit more to break out.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
All right, Tommy. Does this movie work as a Muppet adaptation?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this movie would work as a Muppet adaptation because I don't think it's goofy enough. I mean, you could definitely have like Kermit would be Maximus, if that. Would you have Ralph as Maximus?
I feel like this is a case of our movie and our Muppets just butting heads. It's just not the right fit for them. Like I can't picture any Muppets in Gladiator. I don't know about you. I feel like Kermit doing the are you entertained? Are you entertained? Would be kind of entertaining to see, but I don't know.
I mean, there was that one Sylvester Stallone episode of The Muppets where he was a gladiator and like Kermit was out there.
That's true. That's true. It did happen on the Muppet Show. I guess it could work. I feel like it lacks so much humor in this that it's just tough for me to picture the Muppets carrying it as a vehicle for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, if we had to pull it though, Kermit would obviously be Maximus. Sweetums, like the big guy with the huge nose, like the big hairy ass guy, he would be obviously Hagen.
Yeah,
like right there, it just makes sense. The only thing I'm thinking about is like, would you keep Joaquin as a human, or what would Joaquin be the little shit? Like I don't know, like who's the prawn guy?
I think you have to keep Joaquin as the human. Like just seeing him be so cruel to Muppets, like would make you hate him so much more than you do in this movie.
It would make it so great though at the end of Kermit, like when he gets stabbed by Joaquin at the end, It's just that blood is just like a bunch of like foam coming out, and it's like, oh,
yeah, and then it's just Joaquin that gets bloodied up in there. I could see that being quite entertaining. All right, Tommy, review time. Give me your score out of 5.
This was a great first time watch. I'm really glad I finally checked this off my bucket list. Ridley Scott just given a tour de force in terms of directing. The action scenes are just compelling. Even the dialogue scenes are just as interesting. Does not lose its pace or momentum in any way. Russell Crowe's fantastic. Joaquin Phoenix plays just such a hateable villain in the way you'll be able to see. So I'm going to go 4.5 out of 5. Just really, really enjoyed this movie.
I'm going to go 4 out of 5 here. This is one of the greats out of Ridley Scott's catalog that here. I think it's really well paced. I think Maximus is a really memorable character. I think it blends this like corny and dramatic line so well. It like just kind of handles that as like a tightrope walk. I think it does a really good job of blending very early CG and practical effects. I think it does that very well too. Like there's a lot of good tricks there for your eyes as well. 4 to 5, definitely a movie worth watching if you have not watched it yet. So, Tommy, any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
I do want to talk briefly about how Russell Crowe, how beat up he got during this movie. He had multiple injuries to the point that he had like the Achilles tendon go out. He has knees go out, both shoulders. He has a lower back thing that just won't go away, and like trying to fall from fight sequences. Just like talk about a guy who earned his Oscar.
Definitely earned his Oscar.
And you can see you can see nowadays why he's just like, yeah, I think my character is just gonna be fat. I'm not gonna work out for this role.
I'm big enough that you're gonna pay me, and I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need to be Action Man anymore. Yeah, I could see.
Yeah, like that. Those days,
I could see Gladiator kind of taking the wind out of his sails there.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. You can find us on social media. That's at Seen It Pod. That's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and we're also on the Blue Sky, that new app that everyone's on. And we are Pod Seen It at Blue Sky for there. And also leave us a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Helps us out, helps us grow the show. And next week we'll be covering one that Timmy wanted to cover, 12 Angry Men. Never seen it. I feel like it's going to be awesome.
It's a great movie. Very excited for you to watch it. Thank you all so much for listening. We will see you next week.
Hey there, I'm Jeff Penn.
I'm Alex Young.
We're the hosts of Deep Cuts the Game. It's a movie trivia podcast where I have 3 contestants and I give them 3 movies, and they try to come up with the most random, obscure, or minor actors from those films. The deeper the cut, the more points they get. It works like this. Hey Alex, what's your deepest cut for A Knight's Tale?
Paul Bettany?
What's your deepest cut for the movie Daredevil?
Kevin Smith?
Oh, that's pretty good. If you like this sort of thing, and even deeper cuts by better guests such as Dan Riskin and James Duthie, this might be the show for you. Deep Cuts the Game. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. Hey there, I'm Jeff Penn.
I'm Alex Young.
Hey Alex, what's your deep cut for The Lost Boys?
Rory Gilmore's grandpa?
That's pretty good. What's your deep cut for Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Don McKellar, Bill Hader, Kieran Culkin.
These are all great. Deep Cuts the Game. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.